How to aim the Bazooka and Panzerschreck. Now, this video is a condensed down version of my more in-depth AT guide. In this video I will go over on how to aim the Bazooka and the Panzerschreck, which markers you can use for range and how to pull it off consistently. If you want more in-depth information about the AT class, I highly suggest watching my AT guide. Even though the AT gun part in that guide is outdated, the rest of the information in that guide is still accurate and relevant. Before I drift off too much, let's get right to it. Because long-range rockets are an ideal way to deal with garrisons, outposts and tanks that are out in the open or in a difficult position to push and take out. Let's start off on how to aim with the Bazooka or Panzerschreck. When using the iron sight or aim down sight for the Bazooka, we run into the problem there's no rangefinder to give you an accurate reading on how far your rocket will go or where it will land. To get an accurate shot off consistently, you can make use of carefully placed pings and aligning them with certain pixels, screws or textures on the Bazooka or Panzerschreck. For instance, if we want to aim the Bazooka at 100 meters every single time and every single shot, we place a ping and we align the bottom part of the ping or triangle with the bottom part of the inner ring. This way you will hit 100 meters accurately every single time. You can use these clever placed pings up to, let's say, 950 meters plus for the Panzerschreck, and the Bazooka you can use these roughly around 750 meters give or take. There is a caveat though. Depending on your settings like resolution, you might have to add or detract a few meters to get the accuracy and distance correct. Not entirely sure where this difference comes from, but I suspect it has to do with resolution, field of view, or a combination of both. Also keep in mind when hitting a tank or the target, the rocket flies in a parabolic arc. Further the distance, the bigger the arc is going to be. Just a thing to keep into account when aiming for the back of a tank. I won't go over all the exact ranges and ping markers you can use. There are 2 links in the description that you can put on your second monitor to practice it or read off from it. The most commonly used ones, or at least the ones I use the most, are usually in the 100 to 300 meter range, and my advice is practice these the most. We already discussed the 100 meter range by aligning the bottom part of the ping with the inner ring. For 80 meters the alignment is the tip of the ping touching the crosshair crossbar, of how you want to call it. The next one is an increase of 40 meters, namely 120 meters. And you can achieve that by aligning the tip or the top part of the ping just below the inner ring. If you look closely at the iron side of the Bazooka, you will see there is also an outer ring. For the 150 meter and 160 meter rocket, we will make use of the outer ring part of the iron side. To fire off a rocket at 150 meters, we align the ping right above the outer ring. The 160 meter rockets is a bit more difficult to use. Instead of aligning the ping above the outer ring, we want to align it just below the outer ring, as you can see in this example. For all these markings, you'll need to aim down sight and use hold breath to get it accurately every single time. If we want to achieve greater distances, let's say 280 meters, we will have to swap to the Garand and make use of the markings and textures on the Garand. To make use of the markings on the Garand, simply swap to the Garand. Ping your target, then aim down sight, hold breath, and line up your Garand just above the line that separates the metal block of the iron side and the rest of the gun. Maybe do a double ping to just confirm you got the alignment correct. Then switch to the Bazooka, aim down sight and shoot the rocket. It is crucial when switching to the Bazooka you do not move your mouse, else the alignment will be off. The Bazooka alignment pings will go up to roughly 750 meters give or take. It will require a fair bit of practice to get the hang of it, but my suggestion here is to focus on the easier ones up to 200 meters, just to memorize them and get the hang of it. As I mentioned, there's a link in the description with an image that you can use on your second monitor, or go old school and print it out and hang it somewhere near your computer to read off from it. Over to the Panzerschreck, and I will go over this one a bit more quickly than I did with the Bazooka. The Panzerschreck has more textures, screws and whatnot on it, so this gives us a bit more alignment points to play with. Keep in mind, all these pings and shots are used with holding your breath. For ranges up to 275 meters, we will use the left screw just below the iron side. To hit 75 meters and 105 meters, you will want to align to the top corner of the screw that is highlighted here. If you align the bottom of your ping with the top straight line of the screw and in the middle of your iron side, you will hit 75 meters consistently. For 105 meters, we align the top of the triangle ping with the corner where the two lines of the screw meet and also in the middle of your iron sight. The next marking and distance we can hit is 175 meters. For this one, you will want to align your ping with the center of the bolt of the screw. For the Panzerschreck, there's also an image in the description you can use to see the different alignment points. There are instances where you will need to pull out the Kar 98 to use the markings on that to align your Panzerschreck. It works in similar fashion as the Garand. Ping the target you want to hit, aim down sight, hold your breath, and align the Kar 98 on the proper mark with your ping. Then you will want to ping again just to double check your alignment, switch to the Panzerschreck and fire off the rocket. When it comes to firing with the Panzerschreck, you will have to take into account there's a little sway when you aim down sight with the Panzerschreck. If you want to hit your rocket accurately, you will also have to counteract that sway by ever so slightly moving your mouse and keep the aim down sight Panzerschreck in alignment. The furthest you can accurately shoot the Panzerschreck is roughly around the 950 mark, give or take. It can seem daunting to memorize all these markings and alignment points unless you have a photographic memory, which is almost like cheating, but just kidding here. But it does make everything a lot easier. My advice here is to take it one step at a time and just practice certain alignments, like the easier ones you can memorize. Take maybe 3 at a time for the Bazooka or the Panzerschreck, and if you have a second monitor, open up the image and use it as a cheat sheet. Sometimes the pings don't line up perfectly with the reference image, and you can just take a few steps back or forward to get the distance correctly. Once you get some experience with long-range shots and memorized a few basic markings, you will also get a feeling to experiment a bit with the distance and pull this off on the fly without continuously checking and aligning the correct pings. For instance, with the Panzerschreck, we know that 90 meters is somewhere between the 75 meter and the 105 meter alignment point. Just experiment with it to get a good feel for it, and it will become second nature to get the distance right. Remember, practice makes perfect, and I will see you in the next one.